dead. Well, not as dead as some of the people I worked on today. Working in a mortuary isn't the easiest job, but hey, at least my customers never talk back to me. Well, most of the time. There was a time when this used to be a plain old garage, but what with the economy and the cost of living and having an idiot for a husband, we needed some cash. Hey, kids, adults, whoever's out there, before you marry someone, make sure they'll never invest your life savings into a pyramid scheme. Garage is now daycare, but I'll never forget the days I spent here avoiding work, amongst other things. The formaldehyde really preserves the memories.
Miss Goria!
How are my little devils doing?
Good!
Oh, sweetie, don't use that. That's used. How are the cards reading today?
Good. I think this one's for you.
2 of Cups. I suppose that's close enough. What you doing here?
Reading the Necronomicon.
Oh, I'm so glad the kids still read the classics. That's my favorite class.
But I don't want to be a witch.
If you rolled lower, so you have to be the witch.
But I don't want to be a witch.
Oh, sweetie. There's nothing wrong with being a witch.
But they're ugly.
And mean.
They eat children.
And they sacrifice goats.
Children! I don't know where you heard all these awful lies, but I think it's time you all heard a story about what really happened to witches in the olden days. Come, sit crossbone skull style now. Here's that book of mine. Gregory!
Yes, my dear?
Fetch me my storybook.
At once, my dear.
What can I say? I have a thing for the pathetic and submissive type.
Your book, my dear.
Where was it?
It was behind my cot, by the new clothes you unpacked for me.
You know, you've been good lately. Is there something you like? A blanket, a pillow, some dignity?
Well, I could think of a couple of things I might like.
And I can think of a couple of things I should take away from you.
Oh, my dear, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to offend. Please forgive me.
No, in fact, you have lost all cot privileges. You may only use the coffin.
Of course, the cotton's so lovely.
Now be gone! Children, say goodbye.
Bye, Gregory!
Gregory. Get out! Ready for a story?
Yeah!
Many, many years ago, in a sleepy, small, picturesque black and white town of Whitewood, a mob of horrible people attack a poor young woman.
Bring out Elizabeth Selwyn. Jethro Keen, hast thou consorted with the witch Elizabeth Selwyn? No. Burn the witch! Elizabeth Selwyn, on this 3rd day of March, in the year of our Lord 1692, we, the people of Whitewood, Massachusetts, condemn thee as a witch. May the flames cleanse thy soul of its evil, of its lust for blood, and may they bring about the death of Abigail Adams. Burn, witch, burn, witch, burn, burn, burn.
So shouted the people of Whitewood when they burned Elizabeth Selwyn in 1692. Though, as I've said, little is known today of the actual practice of witchcraft in 17th century New England, superstition, fear, and jealousy drove the Puritans to accuse their friends and relatives of consorting with the devil. Raiding around huge bonfires, repeating vindictive chants, they consigned the poor creatures to the flames. The tortured souls cried out in agony as the flames mounted higher and higher. Burn, witch, burn, witch, burn, burn, burn.
Dig that crazy beat.
Shh. That will be all for today. Tomorrow will be my concluding lecture on the history of witchcraft in 17th century New England. I shall bring along some illustrations which I'm sure will interest you all.
I'll bring the matches.
Maitland! Since you chose to attend these lectures, I had hoped that it was in a spirit of scientific curiosity about the subject. That'll be all.
Bill, how could you?
Takes it all so darn seriously. He's got you all hypnotized.
Oh, Miss Barlow.
Yes, Professor.
Can I see you for a moment, please?
What about our date?
I'll meet
Look, I'll wait for you outside. Huh?
you. Yes, Professor.
Rather a difficult young man, that. I fear that you are more of an attraction to him than my poor efforts. However, I've been reading through your papers, Miss Barlow. They show a very sound appreciation of the subject.
I want to go to New England to do my senior paper.
Mm-hmm. They're really quite good, you know.
Oh, I'm not quite satisfied. I feel I need some first-hand research. I want to get the atmosphere. Find out how widespread witchcraft really was, what the witches were really like.
Well, that might take a little time, you know.
Well, I have the time. My brother and I were going to spend our vacation with our cousins. What I'd really like to do is to get a room in the smallest, oldest town in New England I can find. Check through all the town hall records, recheck the libraries, talk to the Puritan descendants, make a really thorough investigation.
Your brother is a professor of science, Miss Barlow. I hardly think he'd be very interested in the history of witchcraft.
Then I'd go alone.
You don't think he'd object to that?
You leave Richard to me. He's picking me up here for lunch.
Hello, Bill. Professor Barlow.
Nan here?
Yeah, she's in there with him. Well, I don't like her getting mixed up in this witchcraft business.
Why not? It's only part of a history course.
I want to find out
Professor
how
Barlow.
widespread witchcraft really was.
Before you go in there, could I have a word with you?
Sure.
Well, it's about Nan and me.
Oh.
If you're really serious about this, I happen to know of a town in New England. As a matter of fact, it's the identical place where the events occurred that I mentioned in today's lecture, Whitewood. It's quite a small place. It's a little bit off the beaten track, so maybe these directions will help you.
Thank you.
I think you might very well find what you're looking for there. I happen to know the woman who owns the inn at Whitewood. Her name is Newless, Mrs. Newless. So you just tell her I sent you.
Raven's Inn, Whitewood.
What's Whitewood?
Now, Dick, don't be too upset, but I'm going to change my plans for the vacation.
Change your plans?
Yes. Going to a place called Whitewood for a week or so to do some research.
Who are you? What about Cousin Sue? Why, she's expecting you for a birthday party on the 17th. She'll never...
I can still easily make it by then. This is important. My term paper's got to be good. It could mean a scholarship.
And I've made only arrangements.
Come on, Dick. You'll have a good time without me. My mind's made up. I'm going to Whitewood.
But surely any good encyclopedia will give you all the nonsense you want to know about witchcraft.
Witchcraft is not nonsense, Barlow.
I'm sorry, Driscoll. Witchcraft, black magic, sorcery, to me it's nothing but fairy tale mumbo-jumbo. I'm a scientist, Driscoll. I believe what I can see, what I can feel and touch.
The basis of fairy tales is reality. The basis of reality is fairy tales.
Did you ever meet a witch, Driscoll?
Perhaps.
Oh, come on, you're an historian. No witch ever survived the burning at the stake for all their pacts with the devil.
In 1692, Elizabeth Selwyn went to the stake. She was buried in a churchyard in New England. And yet 3 years later...
Yeah?
3 years later, a new wave of blood sacrifices broke out in the village that had condemned her. The daughters of the elders who had condemned her were themselves found murdered with every last drop of blood drained from their bodies. And afterwards, people came forward to testify that they had actually seen Elizabeth Selwyn.
Oh, stop. This would be more effective at midnight with howling winds and crashing thunder, and even then it wouldn't frighten anyone.
Dick, I'm sorry, Professor Driscoll.
That's all right, Miss Barlow. You won't be the first person to have scoffed at the subject.
Honey, when you get to, where is it?
Whitewood.
Ah, yes, Whitewood. Well, send me a picture postcard of a witch. If possible, autographed. Now, let's have some lunch, eh?
I'm sorry, I have a date.
And then that mean old Nan and her boyfriend Dick, aka Dullard McFourface, left the devilishly handsome Alan Driscoll. Ah, Christopher Lee. Tall, dark, and way too handsome. He really gets my bats flapping.
Does Mrs. Goria have bats?
Did they really burn witches like that?
They did. They burned lots of witches and women who they thought were witches. Witches are wonderful people. And let's be honest here, those townspeople are just jealous.
Those townspeople seemed really mean.
That witch lady seemed really nice.
She was. Witches are nice. It's only natural to want to practice magic. I mean, if you're gonna ban witches, you might as well ban cats from hunting mice, or bears from devouring fish, or politicians from taking under the table bribes.
I didn't like Nan. She was rude.
She was. Here she has this wonderful opportunity to visit the town of Whitewood, and here she is acting like an overly stuck-up college kid, treating them like museum exhibits instead of like actual people.
Ooh, can we go to Whitewood for a field trip?
Oh, yeah.
Now, I'm sure Whitewood is a lovely town, but I'm sure they wouldn't want a bunch of tourists gawking at their fair city, like Nan did.
What did Nan do?
What happened, Mrs. Goria?
Well, let me tell you what happened to Nan in the town of Whitewood. Night had fallen on the sleepy black and white town when Nan snuck out of her room and started to snoop.
Oh, I didn't hear you come in. Are you Mrs. Newless? Oh, I'm Nan Barlow. I was told I might find a room here. I was recommended by a friend of mine, Professor Driscoll. Perhaps you know him.
That will be all, Lottie. I'm sorry to keep you waiting. Unfortunately, Lottie cannot talk. I've often told her not to answer the bell.
Oh, poor thing. Then you're Mrs. Newless.
I am. May I help you?
Yes, I'd like to have a room here for 2 weeks.
The hotel is quite full. Oh, the guests are never about at this time of the day.
Well, I'm a student of Professor Driscoll's. He told me if I mentioned his name, I'd have no trouble.
Well, there is a room I could let you have. It's just off the lobby.
Oh, thank you. Oh, Mrs. Newless, that plaque. Is it true that Elizabeth Selwyn was really burnt here for being a witch?
She was?
And do you believe she was a witch?
Come along. I'll show you to your room. I hope you will be comfortable. Yes, it is a nice room. The previous occupants have always found it most agreeable. Well, if there's anything you should need, just ring the bell for me at the desk.
Thank you.
It's been so many months. I've counted the days to this holiday.
So have the others. It wasn't easy for some of my guests to get here. Many had to travel vast distances.
I was lucky. The last few miles were enchanting. Miss Barlow is very good company.
You must be tired, Jethro. Your room is ready.
And the festivities.
I am prepared.
Oh, Mrs. Newless. I thought I'd have a short look around town. I won't be gone long.
I think you'll find the church interesting. Unfortunately, it no longer has a congregation.
He will be pleased.
I'm told this was once a house of worship.
It is still a house of worship. I am the reverend of this church. As long as the breath of life is within me, this house shall remain God's house.
Must have been a beautiful building.
For me, it is still beautiful.
I'm sorry. What a shame the people have let it fall into such a state.
Strangers rarely come to Whitewood. Who are you?
I'm Nan Barlow. I'm staying at the Raven's Inn.
Why have you come to Whitewood?
Well, because I'm interested in witchcraft.
Young woman, leave Whitewood. Leave Whitewood tonight. For 300 years, the devil has hovered over this city, made it his own. The people in it are his. Evil has triumphed over good here. Look at my church. I have no parish. No one worships here. His is the power.
What power?
Leave Whitewood. Leave Whitewood tonight. I beg of you.
What power?
Leave before it is too late.
Mrs. Nolas! Mrs. Nolas! Mrs. Nolas!
Elizabeth Selwyn.
Oh, no!
11.
No! Let go of me! Let
12.
go! Ah!
And then the woman brought the knife down on Nan for not minding her own beeswax.
So did she die?
Indeed. And do you know why?
She stole something? She hurt someone?
She was basic?
Ah, you're close. She was sticking her nose into places it didn't belong. See, the villagers of Whitewood have lived in peace for centuries with traditions that they've carried on for years, and here comes Nam, snooping around and bugging everyone, treating them like some sort of museum exhibit instead of people.
You're saying she should have minded her own business?
Exactly! What do you think would have happened if she just stayed in her room?
Nothing?
Mm-hmm. She would have just slept through the night, gone home to her yawn-inducing boyfriend, they would have gotten married, bought a home, have a kid, and live a dull, boring life. But instead...
She died.
That's right, and what's the lesson we learned here?
Stay in your own lane!
My little devils, you're all so precious and smart.
Oh, my dearest dear.
What is it, Gregory? I'm in the middle of story time. Better not be another spider.
No, dear, we have a guest.
Good evening, Miss Goria. I was in the neighborhood and thought I'd pop by just to say hello. Hello, kitties!
Hi! Children, this is my friend Alexander Thorne.
The Alexander Thorne?
That's right. Not only is he devilishly handsome, but he also performs magic and illusions.
Can we see some tricks?
I suppose I could show something, but I will need the help of a volunteer. Gregory, you'll do just fine.
Will it hurt?
Well, no, it shouldn't hurt, just as long as you follow instructions.
You think you can give him a back thumb?
No, there are only so many things magic can do, my dear. Although I did think about giving him some dignity, but it seems someone already took care of that for me.
Gregory, get the table and chairs.
Once upon a time, there once was a mighty fine gambler who liked many fine things. He liked his fine cars, his fine clothes, his fine money clips, and his fine money to put into those money clips. Now he cheated at everything he played with: cards and dice, horses and wheels, lawns and pets. One would imagine a gentleman who could talk, buy, cheat his way to anything would be a very happy man, right?
So.
Well, anyway, one day came upon a very strange man with very strange cards he's never quite seen before. The man came up to him and said, "Got a little game of hanky-poo, sir. 2 for me, 1 for you. Game is quite simple, sir. Game is quite simple. You have 3 cards to choose from. First up, we have the 9 of Swords, a very unhappy card. Next up, we have another 9 of Swords, a very unhappy card. And lastly, we have the Ace of Pentacles, a very happy card. Can't you see God's little hand extended down to you to give your own little ray of sunshine?" So, game is quite simple, sir. Game is quite simple. You find Ace of Pentacles, and I will give you a piece of my happiness. You will not find it, and I will take away a piece of yours. Happiness, said the gambler. It's a bet. And that's when the man with the strange cards made a strange move like that. Said, "Hey, I saw you move that little Ace of Pentacles at the bottom. That'll be 1 piece of your happiness, please." All right, well, obviously, then it's at the top. That'll be 2 pieces of your happiness, please. Well, then, obviously, it's in the middle. It'll be 3 pieces of your happiness, please. Well, obviously, you don't even have that Ace of Pentacles anymore. The man shrugged his shoulders and showed he didn't even have an Ace of Pentacles at the bottom. He did indeed have an Ace of Pentacles at the top. He did indeed have an Ace of Pentacles in the middle. There'll be 6 pieces of your happiness, please. All right, tricky man. You don't even have that. You have more than 3 cards. That's how you're doing this. He shrugged his shoulders and showed you just had 1, 2, 3 cards. That'll be 7 pieces of your happiness, please. Pay up. All right. All or nothing. I get to pick one card. You can't touch it. If I win, then I get the rest of my happiness back plus yours. And if you win, then you can have the rest of my happiness. It's a deal, said the stranger. And our gambler took out his last piece of happiness, and he placed it down on one card. Placed it down on one card. Placed it. You, Gregory, where would you get your last piece of happiness?
Oh, please, don't take my happiness.
Last chance, Gregory. Your last piece of happiness. Here, here, or here.
No?
This? Right here? You sure? No? Last chance? Aha! Right there. Good. Excellent. It's the same choice the gambler made. And he lost all of his happiness. You know, some say he never quite looked the same after that day. Some say he lost his mind, while others say he lost his soul. One should always know when playing games like this, Gregory, my boy, with whom you are playing against. Well, children, as much as I would love to perform for each and every one of you, I unfortunately do have to make like a rabbit and disappear.
Dear.
What?
May I sleep? That was quite an ordeal.
Coffin's right over there.
Maybe I'll just sleep on the rags.
Don't use the gas rags! You know, the whimsy of those tricks made me think of my favorite holiday, Halloween. Do children like Halloween?
Yeah!
I like the candy.
The spooky stories.
I like the costumes.
Would you children like to hear the tragic story of how an awesome costume became a boring one?
Yeah!
Very well. It was a brisk 1970s Halloween. The jack-o'-lantern was aglow with the words, Halloween safety, floating next to it.
There's one magical, haunted evening each year when all the scary creatures come out to prowl through every neighborhood. But here's the scariest monster of all. Do you know why? This little witch doesn't know it, but she's taking some frightening chances of being hurt. Maybe badly hurt. Her costume is very, very dangerous. Can you see the things that make it dangerous? What about that mask? She can hardly see through those tiny holes for her eyes. If you were wearing that mask, here's what it would be like. You can see straight in front of you, but unless you happen to turn your head, you wouldn't see that car coming as you start to cross the street. You could be run over. And unless you look down, you can't see that you're coming to a curb. Ow, that hurts. It's bad enough to take a tumble on hard pavement, but it would be even worse to sprawl out on the street in front of a car coming. Now let's imagine that we're in that car. Can you see her clearly? Why not? What is there about her costume that makes it hard to see her? As the driver of a car or truck, you might not see her until it's too late. And that's really scary. Before we think about some ways that the little witch could see and be seen better, let's take another look at her costume. Whoops, down she goes again. It seems as if she's collecting more bumps and bruises than candy tonight. Let's see if we can help her, shall we? And by helping her, maybe you can learn some things that will help you stay safe at Halloween. First, we need to turn back the clock and start this whole evening over again. One of the problems with this costume is that it's too long. It's too easy to trip over a long, full skirt. So we can shorten the skirt. You should always shorten any skirt, pants, slacks, or cape that is too long or floppy. Now, the broom. That's a clumsy thing to carry, and it's something that you're likely to trip over in the dark. It's usually easy to shorten brooms, or round off the sharp points of pirate swords and other costume parts that can trip you or scratch you. Cardboard brooms and swords are usually safer than wooden ones, but it's safest not to carry anything like that in the first place. Now, what else might we change on this costume to make it safer? What about that color? Remember how hard it was to see the little witch because of her dark costume on a dark night? We should always wear light, bright colors on the street at night so drivers can see us. What about this color? A white costume makes an unusual, different kind of witch who's more likely to be safe on Halloween night. A good way to make any costume easier to see at night is to decorate it with reflective tape or reflective patches. Some costumes come with reflective material already attached to the cloth. Here's what it looks like to a car driver. It's easy to see, even on the darkest night. And while you're putting reflective tape on the costume, you should also add some of it to the bag or container you'll use to carry home your candy. Some special Halloween sacks are treated with reflective material when they're made. And it's a good idea to write your name, address, and phone number on the sack, just in case there is an accident. Now, how about the mask? Any problem with it? Do you remember how hard it was to see out through those little eye holes? To be safe at night, you have to be able to see clearly, as well as be seen. We can improve the mask by cutting larger holes to look out of. There, that's better, but there is an even safer way. You can simply not wear a mask. Oh, you think you need a mask to disguise yourself? Well, just watch what you can do, with a little help from your parents and some scraps of cloth or old clothes from around home. An eyebrow pencil, different colors of eyeshadow, rouge, lipstick, an old mop or wig, some wax teeth, maybe some clay and food coloring, and a few other odds and ends. You'd be surprised what you can turn yourself into. Whether you buy a costume or design your own, be sure that it's made of flame-retardant material. That means material that won't catch on fire easily. Now our little witch has turned into a beautiful princess, and her new costume is much safer. But there are a few other things you should do before going out. First, eat a big dinner. If you go trick-or-treating while you're hungry, you'll be tempted to sample some of your treats while you're out, and that's definitely not a good idea. Keep an eye on the clock. In many places, the police set the hours that you should trick-or-treat. Trick-or-treat only within those times. Neighbors should be ready with treats for you, and drivers should be more careful to watch for you during those hours. Make sure you carry a flashlight when you go. The light will not only help you see where you're going in the dark, but it will also make it easier for others, including drivers, to see you. always travel with a group, not alone. It's safer still to have a parent along to keep an eye on things. And of course, you should always walk. Riding a bicycle at night is always dangerous, but it's even more dangerous to try to ride in a costume at night. As you go from house to house, stay on the sidewalks as much as possible. If you have to walk in an area where there are no sidewalks, walk as far off the roadway as possible and face the traffic. That way you can see what's coming and get out of the way if you have to. Cross streets only at brightly lighted corners, not in the middle of the block, and never between two parked cars. When you start across the street, cross quickly, but don't run, and don't stop in the middle of the street for any reason. Stay in your own neighborhood when you're trick-or-treating. Your neighbors are probably hoping to see you in costume on Halloween. And it's safest to visit people you know. If you don't know the people very well, don't go into their homes. Most people enjoy having trick-or-treaters come to their doors. But there are a few people who will do things to hurt kids. They might put sharp or hard objects in candy and apples. Or they might put something on fruit or gum that could make you sick if you eat it. To be completely safe, save your treats until you get home. Then ask your parents to help you check them carefully to make sure that there's nothing in them or on them that could hurt you. The safest treats are usually candy or gum that come in their own wrappers from the factory. Fruit should be washed before you eat it. And all candy bars and fruit should be sliced so you can be certain that there is nothing hard or sharp inside that could hurt you. If you're not sure whether something is safe or not, don't take any chances. Throw it away. But let's get back to the fun part of Halloween with the princess and her friends. Almost everyone enjoys a good joke or riddle.
What's your trick?
What you guys eat for breakfast?
What?
Ghost toasters. What's a wiener when you take out its inside?
What?
A Halloweener. Where does Dracula keep his money?
Where?
In a blood bank.
Here, have some candy.
However, some practical jokes and pranks aren't so funny. If you should break something, it wouldn't be very funny to the owners or to your parents, who might have to pay for it. So keep your jokes funny and harmless. Tonight has been a magical night. We saw a scary monster changed into a beautiful, happy, and safe little princess. How about you? Will you follow the lead of the little princess and have a safe and super Halloween this year?
And the girl, dressed in her princess boring costume, ran with the kids to bore others with her costume, bore others with her tricks, and thus received no treats. You know, that costume that little girl had was pretty great, with that mask and the broom and that fashionable dress. Reminds me of when I was her age and dressed like that all the time.
That princess costume was dumb.
Yeah, that witch costume was pretty neat.
It was. That little girl was pretty clever. She would have been all right. It wasn't dangerous. I mean, it's not like it was covered in knives or anything.
Is anyone that clumsy in real life?
Oh dear, I'm referring to...
You'd be surprised. Come in. Ah, children. It's my lovely assistant, Vincent.
Hi, Vincent. Hello, children.
What's going on?
I do hate to intrude, but it is becoming the witching hour, and we have several new clientele that need your expertise.
Oh my, is it that late already?
It is indeed, Mrs. Goria.
Alright, I'll be there shortly. Oh, wait, did you order the formaldehyde?
A new shipment will be arriving by the end of the week.
And when will the landscapers be here?
Tuesday at 11 a.m.
Gregory's cot?
Incinerated.
Oh, man.
Wonderful. Okay, I'll be there soon. Thank you. Well, my little devils, unfortunately it looks like it's time to go, but what did we learn today?
That witches are cool.
That you should be respectful and stay in your own lane.
That you shouldn't let people ruin your cool costumes.
Oh, you're all so sweet and bright. I'm so proud of all of you. All right, come. Don't forget Froggy.
It's good to go in number 4.
Okay, bye, my little devils. Bye.
Bye, Miss Goria.
Bye. Gregory, could you get my handbag? It's in the coffin.
The coffin?
Yes, you might get your cot privileges back, and maybe even a mattress.
Dark in there.
Gregory, get in the coffin!